I was a little younger than what I am today. To be exact, I'm 37 years old now. So I was around 18 at the time. To this day, I'm freaked out by it and have recurring nightmares about it. And I still feel like my life is on the line, even though nobody believes it. So this is why you should never trust what you see. I took a pet sitting job over the summer from an elderly couple. They looked around 80 years old, so I didn't think it would be sketchy or bad in any way. It was watching a cat while they left for a 3-day vacation. All they said was to feed the cat every 7 to 9 hours. It was easy money. So fast forward to the day. I go to their house. I gather all my stuff out of my car, like flashlights so I can read. Their house is kind of dark and they don't like the lights on, and some extra clothes. Once I walked in there, there was this musty smell. This was the first weird thing that happened. It was strange because their house looked clean and tidy, but it was so faint I brushed it off. They soon showed me around the house. It was a decently sized house with 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. It had carpet as floors, and the decorations were quite modern despite the owner's age. The old woman took me aside and showed me where I'd be sleeping. It was a nice room, but the musty smell was slightly worse in this room, and the carpet looked lighter than the rest of the carpet around the house. But yet again, I brushed it off, like an idiot. And one of the more important parts of this story they told me was that they had a son and he lived in this house too, and his room was in the basement. They told me that he never came out of his room, and they told me that his room was off limits because he was sensitive. Anyway, 30 minutes later they leave, and this kid and I are here alone. It goes smoothly for a long time, I'd say 2 hours, until something happens. Now, I know the rule 3 red flags and then you're out. But again, I was a stupid teenager desperate for money, so I overlooked things until it was too late. I was watching TV on the bottom floor when I heard a loud slam from the basement. Now, usually I'd be scared, but I know that her son was down there, so I looked past it even though it was extremely off-putting. Well, fast forward a couple minutes later, and I hear the basement door slam open. I'm confused by this because if he supposedly lives here, why would he feel the need to slam the door? Again, I let it go because I don't know him, so I don't have the right to judge him. But because I was a very stupid teenager, I decided I would go check on him regardless of what the old lady said. So, I get up, trying not to make too much noise, and I walk to the basement door. And lo and behold, the door was wide open and the stairs leading down were completely blacked out from the absence of light. No windows, no light anywhere. So at that moment, I assumed that he had come up from the basement to get a snack, so I headed to the kitchen. But before I tell more, I didn't hear him going into the kitchen. I just assumed he did. I turned the corner and I saw him standing there. He had dark brown hair with brown eyes. He looked to be African American in his early 20s and was quite handsome, so my judgment was down quite a bit. I took a light step into the kitchen and he flipped his head around and looked at me. Nothing was too weird about this because he looked normal, other than the fact that he didn't talk or make any sound on the matter, but what did confuse me was that his hands had 2 things, a long rope and a kitchen knife, and right after he looked at me, he whispered, "Basement." I'll admit, it didn't strike me as suspicious because this was a smallish town and the year was 1990, so there weren't many defining factors to know about bad people, like stalkers or killers. And because the old people didn't strike me as the type to harbor a wanted criminal, all I did was walk away. So unlike that phrase, curiosity killed the cat, in this case, curiosity saved the cat. As I was walking past the basement, I remembered what he said, and something finally lit up inside me, telling me something was off. And it all had something to do with this basement. So I got my flashlight I thankfully brought with me and walked down the stairs. It wasn't a very big basement. It had 1 couch in the corner and a coffee table, and then the bedroom right next to it. But the defining factor was that the smell was overwhelmingly bad. It smelled like rotten eggs mixed with that musky scent throughout the house. But I bared through it because I was far too curious on what it could be, that I forgot what it couldn't be. Good. I opened the door to find a guy laying on the ground with a pool of blood surrounding him. He was wrapped head to toe in rope, and the kitchen knife was stabbed into the wall. I was horrified. and my eyes teared up from the strong fumes. There were bugs and maggots everywhere, but then I recognized something that will haunt me forever. The person I saw was the same person I had seen in the kitchen. Same shirt, same pants, same everything. I was so horrified that I stood there in a daze until a maggot jumped on me and broke me out of it. But let me tell you, I never ran out of a house faster in my life. I lived too far away to run to, so I knocked on the farthest house I could before passing out from exhaustion and told them what happened. Apparently, the elderly couple killed 3 people in the bedroom I was staying in. And that's why the carpet was lighter. They bleached the entire room. The musty smell wasn't as bad in there. Their first victim was their son, who they tied up and killed 5 days before anything else happened. I can't explain what happened in that house, but I'm thankful that I went down there when I did. I also don't know what happened to the elderly couple, but I hope they got what they deserved.